So, welcome once again to Drop the Mic, the Chamber podcast. Thank you for joining us. This is where I get to chat with our chamber members, local entrepreneurs, people of interest, business owners, that sort of thing. And we get to know who they are, what they do, but most importantly, why they do it. I am your host, Mo Beliveau, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce here in East Hampton. And before we dive into our episode today, I want to thank East Hampton Media. They are our project partners on this particular project. And I want to thank Jen Ramsey, the Executive Director over there, and her team, Ryan Arnold and Tim Riley. They are super awesome, super professional, and it's a joy to work with them. And with that said, I would like to welcome our guest today, Jeff Bujak, who is the owner of Prodigy, Minigolf, and Gameroom. And welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you.
How the heck are you today?
I'm good. I just woke up about an hour ago and had my tandem egg and cheese on an everything bagel. And yeah, it's awesome. And I am all coffeeed up and I'm ready.
Good. I had a very disappointing coffee experience this morning. I usually have, my husband and I have shifted over to the French press, and I decided to reduce the recipe down to 2 tablespoons of coffee as opposed to the typical 3. And it's the most disgusting coffee I've ever had in my entire life. So there we have it. I'm going to have to go to tandem.
Yeah, French. I was doing French press for a long time, and I noticed, in the end, I don't know what it was. It's probably the pump that goes down. It was letting too much of the, or maybe I think I was grinding the coffee too thin because it was going through. And I noticed at the end of my mug, I had like a little sludge at the bottom. So I kind of said, all right, maybe that's not for me. But now I think about it, I think I'm just grinding it too small. You have to make sure you grind it in larger, grounds. To make sure it goes through. But I'm sorry about that. Jeez.
Yeah, it was very disappointing because I have been limiting my coffee consumption. I love it, and I've been limiting it to it. And so today was supposed to be a joyful experience, and it wasn't. So moving on from there. All right, so Jeff, let's get going on this conversation. And I would like to, before we go into the obvious, which is we're taping this during the times of COVID, so we'll be touching on those sorts of things. But I would like to get a little background on you.
Sure.
I know a little bit of background on you, but I don't know that our listeners and viewers do. So maybe we can touch on that.
Sure.
I think starting with your background in human services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that was like 4 lives ago. That was, I started working I toured on the road as a musician for 13 years. So that was
I want to know about that.
Yeah, that was very fun. But I came out of that, I had the opportunity. So I went looking for some temporary work just to cause I didn't want to tour as much anymore. So I wanted to get like some side work. And I went to a company called Community Staffing in Northampton. And I went there just looking for some part-time work. And about 3 weeks later, I was the supervisor of community staffing. So all of a sudden because the guy that was interviewing me happened to be leaving, and I just happened to meet some qualifications, and I said, all right, let's do this. Let's get an office job.
Nice.
So I started working.
That for how long?
About 1.5 years. And then the company, staffing wasn't, it was good. Like I was able to do it, but it wasn't really something I really wanted to do. And the parent company, Community Enterprises in Northampton, their communications department needed a new person. So I applied for that position, and I started moving into communications, where that was just simply updating their Facebook, updating their website, doing interviews with staff and members. And it's a company that works with people with disabilities, finds them work and education and places to live, and just pretty much gets them into society, just everyday life. And it's an amazing company. So I did that. I was in communications for about 1 year, and then the IT department had a need, and they kind of did some shuffling around, and I moved into the IT department. And then the company became Viability in Northampton. That was it just grew, and they bought another company called Human Resources Unlimited. And I started working IT for a very large company has 36 locations throughout the whole United States. And I started looking into learning about servers and clouds and that kind of thing. So it was really, really awesome. But along that journey, I really wanted to open a mini golf course. So I kind of got into that idea while I was in IT there. But I loved working for that company. They're amazing. They're a really, really great company. Yep.
Nice. Well, before we get into the mini golf, because that's a really great story, I want to get into this other really great story, which I thought was super cool when we first met. I don't know how many years ago now it was.
Yeah, it was 2.5, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah. It was. So you first came into the chamber office, and I felt like instantly we were kindred spirits, and you were definitely someone who I could recognize that entrepreneurial spirit deep within your being. But let's talk about your musician life for a little bit, because when you shared that with me, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot of people dream about being a touring musician, and I was like, yeah, I got to live it. And then in the end, I was like, that was an interesting experience. But yeah, right out of college, I moved to Arizona. With the dream of opening a nightclub. That's what I kind of wanted to do. And I was playing music my whole life since I was age 5, classical piano player. And I met I met people in a band in Arizona that needed a keyboardist. So I joined the band, and what I didn't fully know at that time, but they were a touring band. So, I got to know them, and they said, oh yeah, by the way, this summer we're hitting the road. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. This is what I've always wanted to do. So the band was called Somebody's Closet. And they were kind of it was kind of like a rootsy rock type band, 3-part vocals. It was just a big band. There was 6 people. It was really, really great, awesome songwriting. 3 songwriters in the band. So we just were pushing out songs all the time, brand new material all the time. And that's what I loved. I loved just coming up with new stuff. And so that was great. It was awesome. But 5 years of that, with the, while we were on the road, we were 6 people. We had, I think, 1 or 2 tour assistants plus 4 dogs. We had a bus. We had a vehicle with a trailer, and we were touring all over the U.S. So it was a lot, and it was a lot of mouths to feed. So the experience was great, but my business mind started thinking, I think I could do. Or I think I could make a living doing this, because we were just getting by if I did this on my own. So I started looking into loopers and samplers and computers and many keyboards that have the ability for one person to control and make a full show out of it. So I started doing that, and I went solo and made a living off of it. And I did that for about 8 years. And but sleeping on people's couches. And, waking up, having to drive 8 hours to the next club to get there, to smell stale beer, and, not necessarily living a great lifestyle, just, fast food and food on the road, and trying to, get to the next place. And you'd have to get there by 5 or 6 p.m. to load in, to set up. And then you've got 4 hours to sit around doing nothing till the show. So it's just, 8 years of that was a lot. So that's why I kind of got the itch to have a normal life.
But it's so, I think that it's an experience, right? And that's what life is experiencing things. And it's just such an interesting part of you, I think.
Yeah. I got, seeing a city, or the best way to see a city is, or not best, but a way to see a city is at night in its bars and clubs. And so I got to experience a lot of different, everything from, clubs in Texas to Minnesota to Maine to Florida. Every area of the United States is so different, and I never really got to experience that before. So I got to talk to a lot of people about a lot of cool things and a lot of different stuff. The stories along the way were crazy. So
it really helps I think it's a beneficial addition to how your mind thinks.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Growing up in Syracuse, New York, I was a Northeastern guy. Just I thought that's what life was. And then when I moved to Arizona from there, I said, oh, this is a whole different way of living. It just really was. And I was 22 at the time. So I was just learning what life was anyways. And I still don't really know. But I mean, I was in the beginning of learning. And then to go from there to the whole country, it just, it made me see things in a whole different light, to actually experience and be in areas that I've never thought that I would ever want to be. Lake of the Ozarks and Midwest, United States, right in the middle, just middle of nowhere. It was a great experience to just, see how people live and see how people talk and what their mindsets are. Yeah.
It also helps to open one's mind to how others perceive and think and feel and accepting. And I also wonder how much of that played into your graciousness and openness to the other work that you did in human services.
Definitely. And actually, and that's interesting because viability opened my mind even more, working around and working with people of all abilities, there were people with full ability and some with some, thwarted ability in a way, but to see the strength of human will, to have what one would consider a disability to one, a person with that disability might say that this is nothing. I mean, this is just my life. This is how I work. This is how I live. It made you kind of just see just people in general in a whole different light. And I 100% think that my mindset just, I wouldn't say changed, but just broadened.
Yes.
I think I was able to just think a lot, on a larger scale and communicate with people a little bit better. Yeah.
Totally get that. So, and then you also had enjoyed working with record labels.
Yeah.
You've got recordings out there in the world.
So yeah, I have 12 albums, and they're all on Spotify and all. I don't know how much I can do that. Yeah, and iTunes.
I did. I was listening this over the weekend.
It's awesome. So So it was funny. I released 2 albums on my own, and then my 3rd album, I decided to take a jump and say, okay, I think I want to go full label. I want to get a manager. I want to get an agent. I want to build a team. Because up till then, it was just me. So I tried that for 1 album and jumped right back. And I said, no, I don't want to lose control of everything that I have. And that's the way it is. It's just, in general, you the more people you add to a team, the more control, I wouldn't say you lose, but that you have to give to someone else. Because, in that world, the artist is supposed to just create the art. In my world, I wanted to create the art, but I also wanted to sell it. I wanted to market it. I wanted to have every aspect of it go through me. And, my agent, my manager, and especially my label were like, no, we handle all this. And I was like, I want to handle all this. So I didn't even know why I wanted to. I just felt like that was the thing to do. When you're a musician, you build these teams. You all these other hands get in your pockets because it's like, that's just what you do. And then I was like, wait, I can do this. I can sell my album. I can tour. I can book all these shows myself. Why am I paying someone else to do it? So it came down to money and control. So I took all that back and I ended up releasing, I think 8 more albums on my own and did it on my own. Yeah.
I think that's so cool. So, and here's my other question, my last question about your musician life. What is intelligent dance music? This is what I want to know, because I'm a dancing fool. I love it. I love house music, all of that electronic. What's the word? There's on Spotify. We always, my husband takes care of that. But dance stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, the broad term is EDM, which is the electronic dance music. So dance music, just in general, is usually music you can dance to, but it's usually very simple. It's very just, they call it 4 on the floor. It's just doing that, and then whatever you coat that with, whatever melodies and whatever chords and song you want to put over that is great. But the whole premise of that is to keep someone dancing. It's not to have someone go, oh wait, where's this going? So there's EDM, and then IDM. It kind of started in the UK in the 90s. I mean, there's a whole story behind it, but it was to kind of treat the listener like they were a little bit more open to hearing something a little bit different. So
moving in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I still produce dance music, but the beats kind of were a little, they jumped all over the place. The timings were different. So the dance aspect of the music kind of changed. So you could still dance to it, but it made your head work a little bit more. It made you think a little bit more about what you're listening to go, oh, I wonder where they're going to go from there. Instead of EDM, which is just, all right, let's just get on the floor and dance. That's all. There's not much thinking involved. It's just releasing your energy out.
Primal instincts kind of kick in and take over.
Yep. Yeah. So IDM is more of a, treating the listener with an idea that they might want to investigate what they're hearing at the moment. So they'll start listening, going, wait, what is that? What's going on here? Where's this going to go? So, it causes questions. And so I created, I got into IDM, but then I went into progressive music, which is progressive electronic music, which is the subset of IDM where there's no rules anymore. You're still using a drum machine, you're still using electronic stuff, but there's no rules. There's no, like, the beat can go anywhere, the music can go anywhere, there can be starts, stops, the timing's just all over the place, but it's still music, or it's still, it's almost like if Rush had a beat machine, that kind of aspect of things. Right. And I started getting into that kind of music, and there wasn't a lot of it out there when I started in mid 2000s or mid aughts. And so I really, being a classical piano player, I had this idea of classical music with electronic beats, and a classical music falls into all these different categories. So I was writing these very complex pieces going, how can I throw dance beats into this? Yeah. So I just ended up trying to, fit the triangle through the square and going, okay, how can I make this something pretty cool? And I still have, but I had a very intense fan base of people that loved electronic music, but wanted a little bit more from it. Yep. And, not everybody does. Not like, there's a lot of people that just like electronic music for what it is, or dance music for what it is. And so I just tried to put a new spin on it.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Which brings us to mini golf.
Yeah. Same. Literally, you could take that whole thing and just put mini golf in there, and that's what I did. Yeah.
All right, there we go. So you had talked a little bit earlier about wanting to move away from the music and move away from the 9-to-5 human services stuff that you were doing, and then thinking about entrepreneurial thoughts. However, mini golf's been a big love of yours for a very long time, has it not?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So while I was on the road touring, there was two things I like to do during the day, and it was mini golf and disc golf. So other than ball golf, I used to ball golf a lot. That's what we call it in the industry, ball golf. But throwing discs through a woods into a basket, that's disc golf. And mini golf is literally golf, but smaller. So I won 2 tournaments on the road. Won like a bike from Magic Hat, the brewery up in Burlington. I used to play, but I always thought, even when I was really, really young, that mini golf could be a little bit more challenging, could have some really cool shortcuts. And, cause I was a video gamer, so I liked really complex platforming video games. So for example, Super Mario Brothers is a very common platformer game where you jump on a ledge, but there might be a brick up there that you could hit, and there could be a warp zone. There could be a lot of things that you could get into and explore. So I kind of wanted to put that kind of mentality into mini golf, which I honestly, like, touring around, I never saw a mini golf course that really gave you a lot of choices. It was just hit forward, try to make it in that hole. That's it. And that's great for mini golf. I think that's what mini golf is. But I felt like I could design something and come up with something a little bit more complex to treat the athlete a little bit, or at least give them a little bit more choice and chance and risk to try to get the best score and challenge themselves. So I designed this course, and and it was so fun to make a mini golf course. It really was. And I kind of look forward to building another one eventually too. So,
well, I thought it was so fascinating when we first met and you were talking to me and telling me all about your mini golf. And I was like, and I have the vision of, the outdoor mini golf thing. And you opened my eyes to this whole other world that exists and this whole other level of what it is that you're talking about. And when you started talking to me about designing and building your course, I mean, you had it down to how many nails you needed.
Yeah, that's
Which
my
blew my mind. I'm like,
yeah, my budget was exact. I mean, I had it down to so I in my living room at home in Northampton, for the year before I even opened, I had half of a hole or a course hole in my living room built. So I was testing carpets. I was testing how balls were banging off of different types of wood, how ramps reacted, how the ball bounced after ramps. I mean, there was a lot of, because I mean, if I was going to build a course, I didn't want to get done with it going, I should have done this, I should have done that. So I had all this time, I worked a day job, and then at night I was like, I'm not really playing music much anymore. I should kind of look into how golf balls bounce and how people could play differently. So yeah, and I found that trajectory was everything. I always felt like mini golf had curves. Had bricks for walls where you could possibly hit it, but you're trying to bounce it to the left, but it hits the brick wrong and it bounces to the right, and it wasn't really fair to the player. So I was really trying to design a course that was more like a pool table in a way.
yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. Where those markers, and I'm a huge pool player, and I love going, okay, I got to get the ball there. So if I hit there, it'll go 45 degrees, hit there and there. So that's the mentality I went into this course with. And then as long as the play and as long as it was fair and you were able to put the ball where you intended, then I could throw in all these ramps and hooks and all these cool things to distract you or to make obstacles or shortcuts on it. So you can play this course very conservatively and just putt to the hole and get the par and walk off. But you can also say, hey, I'm behind by 2 here. If I try for that little ramp over there that makes it up over that hill, and it's a shortcut. So I wanted to kind of give people more options. Yeah. So.
Huh?
Yeah, that was my idea. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so you're formulating your idea, and you wanted to design this this course that gave folks options out of the ordinary experience. But your whole business, your whole venue, it's not just mini golf. So let's explain to me and our viewers what you got going on over there.
Sure, definitely. So, the idea of a mini golf course is you pay to play the mini golf course and then you just play. So I wanted to create this room where it had a mini golf course and you still paid to come in, but there's tons of other things you can do where you're not like eating up quarters. You're not like having to pay for per diem things. The whole room was wide open to you. So it was the old like game hall theory where it's just like a foosball table there, an air hockey table there, where, and I wanted this idea where if you're waiting for a group on a hole, I want a game right there to entertain you while you're waiting in a way. So I wanted to make the experience less of just a mini golf course, but a full game room experience. So I brought in, at that time I grew up with like 8 different video game consoles. So, it was like ColecoVision, Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I had N64. There was all these like, 90s and 80s and 90s video game consoles. So I was like, well, if I had those around the room, that might be kind of cool. So I had the idea to add those. So in the very beginning, when I first opened, I had 8 video game consoles all connected to tube TVs the way they used to be. And I went around scavenging, those and trying to find TVs that went with each of the consoles. And I mean, to this day, I have 33 video game consoles now. So it just kind of grew.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have 17 different stations of playing video games on 33 different video game consoles, all original, all working. I learned how to repair them. And so that was really fun. So the video game aspect of my place is very different because not that I know of, no other place has the option to play old Nintendo games where you take the cartridge, you put it in the Nintendo, you push it down, you hit power, you plug your controller in. It kind of brought you back to, at least for me, the basement at my mom's house, just playing video games again. And I thought that was a really cool addition to a mini golf course because, mini golf was big in the 80s and 90s. It's less big today. I got to be honest with you. I think less people are going, let's go play mini golf. But when I was growing up, like that's what you did. I don't know why. You didn't have phones. You didn't have, you know, you didn't have home theaters. You went and played mini golf. You hit a ball. So I grew up just playing video games and playing mini golf. So it was just an obvious combination. And then I have at this point, about 170 board games to play. I have 9 very large, as you can see behind me, game tables you can play on. So all these games are like, once you pay the one admission of, you know, $10 during the week or $12 on the weekends, you can play anything you want in this room. And me and my staff are behind the desk ready to help people, give suggestions. So that was the other thing too, is if someone wanted to play a game, maybe they couldn't think of a game that they used to play, or they just don't know what to play. That's what we're here for. So my staff and I are very knowledgeable in every game that we have here. So if someone says, there was like this little green guy and he jumped from here to there, and we're like, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. So we're able to kind of get you to relive the moments when you were a kid. So, you know, this place was geared towards the 30s, 40s, and 50s age range of people that used to play these video games or used to play mini golf when they were young, and they just wanted to do, you know, a whole different side of mini golf, or go back to the games that they used to play when they were young, including the board games. And then we have like pool and shuffleboard, and air hockey, and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
So Jeff, before we get into, you know, the whole COVID situation that we have going on now, I want to talk to you about, you know, before that point, you know, you had started, what was it? You joined the chamber like 3 years ago, I believe it is. And
Yep.
then you opened a year after that. So thank you for supporting us before you were even open. And, you know, I had a couple of conversations with you, and you were surprised as to how well things were going for you. Mm-hmm. Right? So you ended up, you started 2 years ago, you opened up the doors and you were doing really well, or you are doing really well. And then you were able to quit your day job, let's say, right?
I just did in October. 1 year ago to this month. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is it that drives this passion for mini golf and this business and this entrepreneurial drive that I feel like you've had for longer than what Prodigy has been about?
So, that's an interesting question. So even back when I was touring, you know, I always felt that the music industry it's not a business that's like any other business. You're not selling a product, you know, you're selling sound, you're selling an experience, which is so difficult. It's, you know, I think one of the only more difficult things probably to sell is comedy, you know, where you're trying to make someone laugh, and that some people just aren't going to laugh, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you know, but at the same time, you might, you know, sell I don't even know, a car. And most of the time, as long as the car is what it is that they were selling, you're going to be satisfied because it is. But even when I was touring as a musician, I never felt that my business ethics and my business know-how was utilized correctly. You know, I would do things by the book, because I went to college for business technology, and I thought, okay, like, I know how to build a business plan. I know how to really do this the right way, or at least the way you're supposed to build a business. And music was just chaotic. You know, there was no right or wrong. There was no rhyme or reason. There were too many unexpectations. There was things that would just pop up all the time that I just didn't want to deal with anymore. The competition was horrendous. There's so many bands out there, and as much as bands say that they're friends and they work together, they're, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but bands are very competitive, extremely competitive. Even if they're on the same bill on the same night, there's this, I bet I can outpower you, or I bet I can make the audience, you know, appreciate my music more than yours. It's this very, honestly, it was an ugly scene, and I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. But I always had the business mentality of, I wanted to build something, get acknowledged for building it, and appreciated for it, and then actually have it be successful and me be successful. So there's nothing I like more in life is working on something extremely hard with everything I have, and then feeling successful or feeling accomplished after it's done, or after I've sold it, or whatever the case is. So that's, music. That's why I jumped into a day job, because I needed to get out of that. And a lot of people would say, oh, you're crazy for wanting to do a day job over music, because everyone dreams of being a rock star or on the road. But I felt like having an office job was a stability I never had in my life. It was kind of this 9 to 5, you go there, everything's clean, everything's done by the book. There's rules, there's things to live by. There's risks and risk assessment. And I started jumping into the business of viability at that time, thinking, oh, this is an amazing company. Like, not only are they doing good for the community, but they're producing money from this that they're putting back into what they're doing to make the services more. I mean, there was so much in that business that made me say, yes, this is awesome. I want like a business. I don't want to just have music. And I still play music sort of in a way, but I don't think of that as a product anymore. That's just more for fun, like I was when I was 5, So I wanted to do, a business, an actual hard, a brick and mortar place that people could come play, where I didn't have to break down every night and leave. So I think in me, I still wanted to make something. I still wanted to create something. I'm very creative. I love to just, take something and make it better, or take something and rearrange it and then see what people think. So having this place, especially in the very beginning, the feedback I got from people, and just, the attendance right off the bat was amazing. And everyone's saying, oh, I've never played a mini golf course like this. I feed off that. I feed off of being different, kind of, or being appreciated for my creativity and hard work for creating something different. So, that it was just, it's something in me. And even like now, like I can't just have a game room and say, okay, this is my game room. I go, okay, now what can I do? How can I make that corner better? How can I notice that the ball's going off the course on hole 9 a lot. Why is that? Maybe if I build this, maybe if I rearrange this. So it's something internally in me that needs to stay producing. I love being productive. I don't have a day off. I don't even know what that is. And it's not because I have to do things. I want to do things. I want to keep pushing myself. I want to keep pushing my ideas. And I feel like I've built something that the community and people really love and take to heart. Is what I'm noticing now is a lot of people really want me to succeed, which is really, not just me, but for them to have a place to come and
so let's talk about that. So you quit your day job in October. Everything's cruising along. You're riding high, and
I saved a lot of money too. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and then COVID. We shut down in March, and we talked. I don't know, maybe 2 months ago. I checked in with you, and at that point, you were feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And,
So,
and then.
Yeah. And then it's.
And then we've taken a little turn. We're going into the winter now, and let's see. There's been some adjustments made to the corresponding numbers going up, and you want to share some of that story with us? How you're feeling now?
Definitely, yeah. So I opened in the summer. It was phase 3. Being a mini golf course, I was able to open step 1, phase 3. Like, to be completely honest, all that was very difficult to just grasp. I don't think, and I think to this day, like we don't have a full idea of what is good and what's bad. I think a lot of people might think just shut down everything and let's just stay home and live off of what, the taxes that we paid in over years, and just have paychecks come to us. But, I think for livelihood, for, emotional stability, for success, for me, for example, sitting home for 4 months was something I've never done in my life. So I was closed for a full 4 months, where I was told 2 weeks, and then it just kind of graduated. Again, we didn't know anything, and we still fully don't know everything. But, I think decisions are being made in a very general scope. It's very difficult to look at every single business and say, okay, what's safe, what's not safe, who should be open, who shouldn't be open, who should be making money, who shouldn't. I mean, it's a very difficult conversation. It really is.
Right. So, but here we are, and you've got, so you had your hours, which were, was it Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you were open till midnight?
Wednesday, till midnight on Fridays and Saturdays.
So Fridays and Saturdays. So now you're because we're back into phase one, now you're,
or phase 3, step 1.
Thank you. Phase 3, step 1, you need to close on Friday and Saturdays at 10.
Yeah. Or not,
And
I
so,
say 10, yeah, but it's 9:30.
9:30.
9:30. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that people can get home for 10 because of the curfew. So, let's talk about how that's impacted you.
Sure.
And it's just started on Friday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So even before this happened, my attendance numbers were just slipping down and down and down and down. So, when I opened in the summer, it actually was pretty decent. It's somewhat livable with the PPP loan. That really was a godsend to help keep my staff employed, which I think was a very needed thing. I think, people being productive, people having a purpose, waking up, whether you think a 9-to-5 job, Monday through Friday, you think, maybe, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this, but honestly, like, it gives you something to do in a day. I know a lot of people would have other things to do, but you go to see your friends are at work, you have something to talk about. There's, the human interaction is huge. So, I wanted to keep my staff on. I wanted to give them a purpose because my staff loves being here. I mean, they've been very open about it and said, like, even before I opened, they were like, as much as they didn't mind staying home and collecting that paycheck, they really wanted to come back to Prodigy. They were missing the people, they were missing the work. So I appreciated that. I thought that was awesome. So my staff wanted to come back, and we all made that decision to reopen in the safest possible way. But when it came to this past weekend where the hours got cut, I have a day business, but my night business is the fun aspect of this place. It's when the hum begins, people, and just in general, my numbers usually after 7 will start going up. I mean, that's just, during the day I get stragglers. I have some people that come in, some families that come in, but the night is the time that people would come here. And especially, Fridays and Saturday nights were at least 70% of my revenue. That's just the way it is. It's not that it's packed here. It's not that I'm letting 100 people in, but it was, before this whole thing, I might have, at the time of now closing, like 9:30, I would only have maybe 5 people here. But then at like 10 o'clock, I might get like 3 more. And then by like 11 o'clock, I might have 5 more. And to be very honest with you, those 3 and 5 made all the difference in my revenue. I mean, it's a very difficult numbers game where all of a sudden I have to close. So, they're telling people to be home by 10 and don't be out and don't be here. I mean, that's essentially what they're telling people. So I really wouldn't say I have admissions after 7:30. So around 7:30, people stop coming in, and then by 8:30 or 9, it starts clearing out. By 9:30, I'm done. So,
that could potentially change over the course. I mean, this is the first weekend, and hopefully that will shift. So let's go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt, but it was the answer. It was the reason. That's what I've really wanted. I've been seeking. I've been talking to everybody, saying, "Do you know why we're closing early?" And for the majority of people, go, "Oh, because of COVID." Because I guess after 9:30, something happens. I never got an answer, and I still don't have an answer. So that was like pretty much my main grudge on this. But it was, but I get it.
Mm-hmm. So let's share with people what you're doing to to make it safe? Because you had talked, when we talked a couple of months ago, you were also talking about, we had to make some changes, but honestly, Mo, I'm going to keep some of these things instituted because it just makes me better. So what are those things, and what are those things that people need to know so that they can come and visit you
Sure.
and be confident?
Yep, definitely. Okay. So mini golf in general is a very spacious, spatial environment. I mean, you are not even close to 6 feet apart. The groups are 12 feet, 15 feet apart from each hole. So space is not the issue here, at least on the mini golf course. So, and even when groups play, you can still be 6 feet apart from each other. A foursome on the course can be very spatial. So the space part of it, I'm good with, as far as the mini golf course. The video games, as I'm looking at them right now. So, I have 14 TVs on this wall, and under every TV is, 2 to 5 different video game consoles underneath them. So, and they're all about 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet apart, with 2 chairs. So what I did is I said, okay, how about I just close off every other TV and I start moving all the video game consoles, all the unique consoles on the TVs that I'm pulling out of commission, and move those consoles to the TVs that I can have. So every other TV is at least 6 feet apart. So when you're sitting here playing a game, you are at least 6 feet apart from the person next to you, and you're not even facing them in general. You're side by side. So, and for the most part, people aren't even talking when they're playing. So they're looking straight ahead. So I felt that was pretty safe in my mind, especially with masks. We are very, very hardcore with masks here. We will not allow masks below the nose. We will come up to you and we'll say, can you pull your mask above your nose? And I can't think of one instance where someone's like, well, no, that's always been like, okay, I'm so sorry. My mask slips, and I get it. It's awesome. It is what it is. So that we have them pull their mask up. If we notice it again, we go up to them again and we say, can you pull your mask up? Or not even can you, but pull your mask up. So we are very, very adamant about that, regardless of how people feel about what masks actually do. It doesn't matter to me. That argument is, I don't care. It's just the fact I tell people, look, I want to stay open. That means a lot. I want to stay open. That could mean, I don't want people infected here. That means I want the image, I don't want someone to take a picture and then in the background see someone with a mask off and then be like, wait, what are they doing? Or also, I don't want, just in general, the idea that we don't care here. It's people feeling safe. It's sitting next to someone, or at least 6 feet away from someone playing a video game wearing a mask. I think that just feels very safe to me. And whether it is safe or not, it feels safe. And I think that that's the main concern of me, of what I'm doing, is to make people feel comfortable here. I'm selling fun, or I'm selling the opportunity to have fun. And if someone's worried, if someone doesn't feel comfortable here, they're not going to have a good time. And not only that, they're going to tell their friends that they're not having a good time. Or, if someone gets infected here, I don't want a call from the health department saying, oh, well, you got it. Someone there got it. You got to tell all your people. That's the last thing a business wants.
Right.
So in general, I want to stay open. I want people to think that I want to stay open, and I hope that they'll help me with that. So the masks are a huge thing. So spacing and masks are the biggest thing here. We have hand sanitizer everywhere here. There's pumps everywhere. I don't even need to say that much anymore. There are signs everywhere. I have 18 signs that say wear your mask. I have 2 signs on the course that actually penalize you points if your mask is below your nose.
Nice.
So I'm taking this.
I like that.
I'm taking this to a point where you want to play mini golf. Well, you're going to take some penalty given I'm going to tell them to put their mask up, but right. it puts a sense of that we do care. We care here. This isn't, we're not just throwing people into a pit going, all right, just go have some fun.
Right.
And not only that, but the video games themselves, we used to have all the controllers out. So we would give you a game, you would sit down, you put the game in, and then you pick up a controller and play. Well, all the controllers are behind the desk now. So we sanitize not only every controller, every game, every bin, every pool cue, every golf ball, every mini golf, absolutely anything someone touches here gets sanitized. Whether that works or not, I don't know. It's the fact that we do it and we're constantly doing it to make people feel safe. And, you know, this is a very sterile environment. We wipe these tables down all the time. The tables themselves are 4 feet apart, but what we do is we have, and I'm pointing here, so we have chairs here, but then on the other table, the chairs are over there. So there's at least 6 feet between each. And then we also tell people, just skip a table. We have so many tables. People, again, our attendance is not that big anymore. So people are very spread out here. There's
How much square footage do you have over there?
8,000 square feet.
Okay, then we can spread out.
With 14.5-foot ceilings, and I have 14 fans here. I have windows open. I have HEPA filters in my AC units that we were running during the summer. And what I'm going to be doing is, that, especially in the winter, I'm going to be just running the air filter. So we've got 2 HEPA filters running all the time at the windows. We have fans. You know, those are all the regulations that, you know, we're following casino standards where, you know, if an 80-year-old can go to a casino and play and feel safe and be safe, there's no reason a 25 or 30-year-old will feel safe or not be safe here playing. So these are the standards that we're trying to go by, is to just make people feel safe and be safe.
Right. So, you know, we're kind of coming down to the end of our time. So I'm wondering, what is it that you want to share the most about where you're at right now, Jeff? And I know that you're a very, you know, you see the world through a positive lens, you know, so, but, you know, this is not all sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Definitely
so,
not.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the one thing I just want people to know is that we are, you know, a game room, and we're not an essential business. We get it. We're not a grocery store. We're not a place you have to be. This is a choice to come here. But what I'll definitely say is, you know, if you have any fear of being around people or coming here and catching something, just what I offer is just stop by. Just stop by and just look at what we're doing. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. You don't have to be here. And I actually want that feedback. I've never heard one thing from someone suggesting what we should be doing. If anything, people are saying, you're doing a little, like, not too much, but you're going above and beyond what you need to do. So all I ask is just people give us a chance. I think there's 2 types of people that aren't coming here. So, you know, we had a lot of regulars. Our numbers were massive last year. Like, I'm living off of the money that we made last winter. You know, I haven't had much help at all, which I've never asked for help, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm living off the money that I made over this year. So that is what it is. You know, I'm a business owner. There's a risk involved. So what I say is just give us a chance, stop by, or if you have questions, give us a call. Say, you know, what are your exact protocols? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I'll be completely honest with you. And again, if it's not your thing, if you don't feel comfortable with it, then this probably isn't the place for you yet. But I feel like there's a lot more people out there that would feel very, very comfortable here, and getting out of the house, coming out to play games with their friends, compete, laugh, have some fun, smile, even though we can't see each other smile anymore. I think that in general, our minds, most minds could use a little bit of stimulation. You know, there's only so much sitting on a couch and a TV or Netflix can do for you. You know, this is a place where you come, where you're engaging, you're playing, your phone's in your pocket, you're not worrying about what social media is saying or what the news is saying. You're coming here just to have a good time. And I feel like there's a lot of people that just haven't had a good time in a long time and could use it. Am I saying everybody? No, not at all. There are people that probably shouldn't be here, that are vulnerable, that they don't feel comfortable being here. That's perfectly fine. But I just feel like there's a lot of others out there that just are kind of like, maybe I'll wait to go. Well, if you wait too long to go, it's just, we might not be here anymore. And that's all I'm saying is, you know, support, not just me, but support your local businesses. You know, go to the local hardware store, go to your local grocery store. Like, keep your money local. Like, you know, this was an eye opener for me. Like, I've always been the one to be like, just order it online. It'll be here in 2 days. Like, I'm done with that. You know, this is like one of those things where, you know, I have opinions. I have thoughts, but I change weekly, I change monthly. And this year I've realized that we really do need to support our community more than ever. Meaning the business owners, and not just that, but just the residents. We need you at this point.
Right. You're not only supporting our local economy, but you're supporting your neighbor.
Definitely.
And most of us all live here in this immediate area. So we want to keep everybody healthy. And that means their ability to make a living as well. So what are your hours? When can they come visit you?
Yeah, definitely. So, Wednesday through Sunday. So, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, we open at 4 and we close at curfew. And then Fridays, we open at 4. Saturdays, we're open noon to, normally midnight, but, whatever time we have to close. And then Sundays, 2 p.m. to close. And then what we're doing more of, because we are ages 13 and over, because it's an environment for an older crowd. It's just the way it is. The games are a little more difficult. It is what it is, but you can read all that online, why we're 13 and over. But we're doing a lot more all ages stuff because we definitely feeling that there isn't a lot for kids to do. And since we are a place that cares about sanitary conditions and making sure, things aren't being touched and things aren't being put back, like we take care of this. So when the kids come in, because it's very hard to tell a kid, don't touch things, don't do it. It's a game room. They're going to do stuff. We're constantly cleaning. We're constantly looking out, making sure everybody's safe. So every Sunday morning, other than the Sundays that we have private rentals, which we do as well, most Sunday mornings, including this Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is all ages here. So we just allow kids to come in.
Which is a good alternative, now that everybody's doing so much remote learning, to get out and to, maybe see some of their friends and that sort of thing. Yeah. So where can they find more information? What's your website on the web?
Sure. Yeah. Prodigy. Yep. ProdigyMinigolf.com has everything. And I'm going to be launching a new website very soon as well. But that website's still up and it's great. Has all the information you need. Our address, we're at Eastworks. In East Hampton, wonderful, beautiful East Hampton. We just got our new rotary, our new traffic circle down here.
No traffic. Traffic for you.
It works so well. Every day I pass through that, and I've been passing through that at least 4 times a day, going home and back. So I've watched the whole progression of it, and I am a traffic circle fanatic. I love them.
I do too. They're a good thing.
Yeah.
And you do gift cards, yes?
Yep. We have gift cards of any denomination. So you can order those online. You can come in to order those. We also have memberships, unlimited memberships. So it's like per month, you can come and play as much as you want, as many times, like $40 for a month kind of thing.
It's a great gift for the holidays.
I agree. We also have punch cards, save you $2 off in admission if you buy 10 admissions ahead of time. So it's like a $100 punch card, but it's 10 admissions. So instead of the 12, it's $10. I
also think too, there's a lot of, there's a lot of holiday parties that are not going to be happening. So this is a great way to say thanks to your employees and something different.
Yep. Staff days. Yep. And, so we do our rentals, and that's one thing we're really starting to get into is private rentals of corporate functions. We have a huge projector. We have wireless mics. You can actually have a small conference here. You can have a small meeting here, and then treat your employees to a game room for an hour. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here. And
actually, this sounds pretty good being a musician.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me, the lights, like everything in here I've designed, and I made sure that there's no feedback on the PA at all. Like I make sure it's proper and it's done right. Yep.
All right. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for being vulnerable and honest.
Yeah.
You've put a lot of yourself, you've put a lot of your savings into this, and we need to keep our local folks going through this time, and we'll pull out of it. It eventually we will pull out of it. So but we need to be here for all of us.
Yep. And I definitely say, like, for many people, like I wouldn't, like, don't feel bad for me or anything. Like, I mean, I'm a business owner. There's a risk involved in all business, and this is just one of those parameters that as a business owner we have to deal with. But
Yeah.
I just do want to put that out there that, we are trying our absolute hardest to create the safest environment.
Yeah.
We don't have alcohol here. We don't have this is a very safe place for and that's another thing. We have a lot of people in recovery. We have people that come here because they don't want to go to the bar scene. They want to come here in a
Nice.
more, I'm not going to say smart environment, because I'm sure there's some bars that are very smart, but we don't offer the sloppy type environment. Yeah.
It's an alternative. It's an alternative to those others, other traditional social venues. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. And thank you once again. Thank you all for stopping in and hanging with us and chatting with Jeff. You can always get the podcast on anywhere that you get your podcasts, iPodcasts, Spotify, all that sort of stuff. You can watch us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, the Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel, and the East Hampton Media YouTube channel. And thank you again, East Hampton Media. You guys are awesome.
They're right upstairs.
And sorry, yeah, they're right upstairs from you.
Yeah.
And what else do I want to say? Oh, and if you want to talk more about the Chamber, learn more about us, you can learn that at easthamptonchamber.org or give us a call at the office. I would love to chat with you. So with that, thanks.
Thank you.